I should add myself to the screen. There we go. How's everybody doing? So I'm going to hang out here for about half an hour and ask, or you can tell it's Friday, right? And answer natural fertility questions. So any questions you have, you can go ahead and put in the chat, and I will see them. But I'd first love to know where you guys coming in from. Where are you located right now? I'm in Colorado. And for those of you who are new to my lives, my name is Heather Rodriguez. I'm an herbalist and nutritionist who specializes in natural health, specializes in fertility support, pregnancy, postpartum birth, all those things that have to pertain to helping empower women with their health naturally. Hey, Chicago. Hey, Jamaica. I was trying to do too many things, so I had some technical difficulties. That's why I'm late today. Hey, New York. Hey, Maryland. I have a good friend, Mary in Maryland. London. Awesome. Great. Okay, so how this works is you go ahead and just put your questions in the comments below, and then I will help to answer them to the best of my ability. I'm not able to always answer all of them because sometimes they end up being maybe too complex, and there's questions I would need to ask you to best support you. But I have a few. Hey, Massachusetts. Hey, San Diego. I have a few I'll get started with, and then you guys can put your comments or questions in the comments. All right. You can tell it's Friday. I've been talking all week. I've been teaching classes. I did a class last night that was amazing. It was the 5 pillars to fertility health. We had over 400 register for that class. It was such a great way to connect with everybody. All the questions that people had, the feedback I got was just really great. So that's one of my main things is connect with you. Hey, Montana. Hey, Anna. And to help support you where you're at and know that there are so many options that you have and so many tools and things that you can try to help support your fertility. Hey, South Africa. Hey, Connecticut. Awesome. Okay, so the first question I have is, can you get pregnant after 42? So I get these types of questions a lot where, can I get pregnant past 35? Just kind of fill in the blank with an age. And what I always return with is, if you're still ovulating, if you have not started menopause, I believe that there's still hope depending on what's happening for you. So knowing that would be step one is, are you still ovulating? Where are your hormones at? So starting with some hormone testing would be really great, just so you know what's happening. I know a lot of people, that can be an intimidating step for them. So they kind of put it off and see if things will just kind of change on its own. But what I find is, yes, it can be kind of intimidating or scary at first because you're not sure what the news is going to be, but it is so empowering to have that information because that will tell you what your options are. Know that there are still many options. So if you are still ovulating and your hormones, everything comes back like you're A-okay, yeah, there's some things we'll do to help support egg health. There's some things to make sure that your hormonal cycle is balanced, all of those different things. But women have gotten pregnant after 42. It does become harder just because of age and how the environment and our lives affect egg health. So that's why I talk about supporting egg health so much, because of how important that is. But yeah, you can go onto the website. You can read tons of success stories and people's different journeys on what happened for them. And then also there are so many different options. So just know that's out there. Someone was asking, how do you fix kidney yin deficiency? So I'm a Western herbalist. I don't work with Chinese herbs. I mean, I do some Chinese herbs, some overlap, but I don't speak in these types of terms. So this would be a way that a Chinese herbalist would speak. So they would say you have a kidney yin deficiency. So I would ask whatever herbalist share that information with you, what herbs you can use for that. I approach things differently. I approach them in a Western way. I really look at what the body is saying. That's one of the main things. Any questions that you get back from me is like, how's your period? What's your cycle like? Do you spot, all these different questions, because I feel the body gives so much feedback that you can use, and that can empower you to make decisions. So go ahead and if you have any questions, put them in the comments. The next question, oh shoot, I didn't finish writing it. What can be, all right. Next question. Why, when someone is really healthy and works out, can it take so long to get pregnant? So this, I think, goes through a lot of people's minds, right? It's like, hey, I'm healthy. Hey, all of these different things. Why haven't I been able to get pregnant? But my girlfriend, Susie, gets pregnant and she, every time she sneezes. So something that to consider is, one, everyone has their own struggles. Some women's struggles are going to be their fertility journey, or not struggles, but kind of the things they might have to work at. Some It might be their marriage, their relationship. Some it might be finances. Some it might be other health concerns. So it's not that anyone is without some type of journey in their life, some possible type of struggle. Okay, so that's something to remember. The other thing is, everyone is so absolutely different. There could be a person who's lived a super healthy life and then they end up having some of these struggles or these issues. And there's a person who never takes care of themselves and they can just get pregnant like that. I don't know the answer to that, but what I do know is that we are living in a world where we have lots of stress. We're exposed to a lot of different chemicals in our environment. We, there's lots of different processed foods. There's all kinds of things that could be happening. There's things that we're born with, things that we were exposed to in utero. There's all these different factors that are going to affect people differently based on their genetics. And that's just kind of where we end up at. The wonderful thing about natural health and natural tools is that you can try A, B, or C. Okay, that might not be the thing for you. That might not work. Guess what? There's like 3 other things that you can try. There's 3 other areas you can work on in your life. So that's one of the many reasons I absolutely love natural health and natural therapies, is because you have so many options to find what the right fit is for you. Now you can accelerate that with having support and help from someone who has a lot of experience with helping others, so that you're not like taking 20 supplements and wondering which ones are right for you, or whatever it is, or, what type of tests you need, procedures, whatever it ends up being. Having a support team is going to make that different for you. But I don't know, I don't have an answer for that, because every person is so absolutely different. Okay. All right. A bunch of questions have come through. I think there's a delay. How can I increase my egg quality? I'm 43. I'll be 44 in 2 months. So I have an entire guide to supporting egg health. If you go to egghealthtips.com, you can download that. You'll get a series of emails. You get a whole guide, a checklist. But basically, and to summarize it, you're wanting to really support your body in the period. So like what you're doing for your body today is going to affect the egg that you will be ovulating 3 months from now. Same with sperm. Sperm's a little bit less time, like 72, but I just do it in the same time frame because it's taking to make that embryo. But basically, you're flooding your body with nutrients, antioxidants. You're wanting to reduce inflammation. You're wanting to support healthy circulation to your uterus. That guide goes into detail on all of those different things. But it's making sure you have lots of antioxidants in your system consistently on a daily basis to help protect the health of your eggs as they are exposed to your nutritional environment, the environment of your body. But that guide goes into detail in all of those things that you can do and try. If you have a regular period and ovulation, does that mean you have a healthy cycle? Does that mean then maybe the problem is with the men? So awesome question, Anna. So if you have a regular period and you're tracking ovulation and you've confirmed ovulation, so that's one whole topic. I find some women will only go by feeling that they've ovulated, or only cervical mucus, or maybe they feel a little twinge. They'll go by a lot of other things that they're assuming that they're ovulating. And I really think it's super helpful, especially if you've been trying to get pregnant for a little bit and haven't, to confirm ovulation through fertility charting, through temperature charting. There's a lot of different tools you can use for it. There's a lot of different terms for it, but you're tracking your cycle by temperature every day, and you're charting it in one way or another, whether that's technology, piece of paper, whatever. What's going to happen is that pattern is going to tell you and confirm whether or not you've ovulated. So there will be a big dip in your temperature, and then it'll begin to rise as progesterone kicks in after ovulation has occurred. We want to confirm that you've ovulated. So OPK test strips, they're just going to kind of tell you like, hey, you could ovulate soon. They're not confirming ovulation. So that's number one, making sure that that is confirmed. And then, yes, the problem can totally be with the man. Fertility issues happen just as frequently with men as it does with women. We talk about women a lot because you guys are the ones who reach out and do a lot of the research. I maybe talk to 1 man out of 1,000 women. Yeah. So male fertility health is a lot simpler than women because they don't have a cycle. They don't have, this whole list of things and cascade of things happening. They're pretty straightforward on what's happening with them. But it can be just as common with men as it can be with women. So, another thing, if you've been trying for a little while and it's not happening, has he had his sperm tested? A lot of things you can do too. Don't be afraid of that testing. Okay. Hey, Francis. All right. With PCOS, what is your recommendation for ovulation? If from Everlyn. Okay, so PCOS is a really big topic, but it's a very common one that gets asked. So when it comes to PCOS, there's a couple different stages that kind of it needs to be approached. The first is managing the insulin resistance. It's not that with natural therapies that we're like, oh, we're going to, your PCOS is going to disappear. That's not really our goal, because when you're working with PCOS, there is a whole basket of things that are happening. So what we're wanting to do is help support the body towards balance. That's how natural therapies work. So when it comes to ovulation, that's kind of the tip of the iceberg of what's happening as a result of multiple root causes, multiple things that have happened before that. So diet's going to play a really big role, because that's how you can help to manage your insulin levels. That's how you can have healthy hormonal balance, is first getting that insulin response under control, because that is what actually sets the whole cascade of hormonal imbalances and other types of things that happen with PCOS. All stems generally from that. Not every woman who has PCOS has insulin resistance, but a high number of them do. So diet would be the first step. And then after you've got that under control, then you can bring in, there's different herbs and things that you can bring in and supplements that you can help support that, but that needs to be the foundation. And I have tons of information on what those steps are on naturalfertilityinfo.com. If you have endometriosis, how difficult is it to get pregnant, or is it best to go straight to IVF? So Adele, it's obviously best to speak with your doctor, since they're the ones who have diagnosed that for you. On what your different options are. How we approach that is we would just help the body to deal with kind of excess estrogen. We'd help the body to deal with extra tissues that are in the body, those types of things when it comes to endometriosis, helping the body to deal with inflammation, helping to soothe that through diet, through natural therapies, those types of things. So what was beneficial with natural therapies will help you regardless if you do or don't decide to do that surgery. One thing to think about when you're looking at endometriosis and kind of working with a body that is experiencing that is that it's something you're going to need to manage long-term, because sure, you could go and have it removed, but if the factors that stimulated it, caused it, had an effect on the imbalance in the body aren't addressed, it can grow back. So that's my biggest message, is regardless of surgery or not, or needing IVF or not, you definitely still want to take care of that, that bringing balance back to the body in that way, because it can affect implantation. It can affect pregnancy. The hormonal profile changes so much that you actually don't really experience it during pregnancy, but afterwards it can come back. So know that all these lifestyle changes and these lifestyle factors I talk about, you want to do regardless if you're going IVF, if you're doing surgery, all those kinds of things. So yes, there's so many things you can try. You can also read others' success stories on our website, what they did, and the lifestyle changes that they made. What's my thoughts on using Mucinex to thin your lining? I'm not a huge fan. I know it does work, but there's just so much other ingredients in that product that I'd rather use like evening primrose oil and some other things personally. But no longer producing eggs, have fibers in 44, what options are possible? So if you have begun menopause, but you're still wanting to start a family, then you would want to talk with your RE about egg donation, embryo donation, those types of things, because there are still options depending on, kind of what they determine based on your body, but your entire cycle would need to be controlled by medications and hormones. So you would want to talk with them about that to see what your options are. Hey, Marilyn. What's the difference between my fertility prep kit and prenatal vitamins? So prenatal vitamins are just going to be that. They're just going to be vitamins and minerals, whereas a fertility prep kit is going to have kind of a more inclusive, broader range of nutrients in it. Can a short luteal phase be reversed naturally? So what can be done is you can support your body to having a normal, regular, full-length cycle. So luteal phase is when after ovulation, there is not enough time. Sorry, I keep on getting texts. I get distracted. So the luteal phase is from ovulation until you get your period. That needs to be long enough for implantation to occur. So generally 10 days or longer, it's ideal. So if it's shorter than that, even if you're ovulating, if everything's like right, there's not enough time for implantation to occur, because the journey when you're looking at it microscopically of the sperm, up the fallopian tube to meet up with the egg, to travel down, or, all of that, the whole process of it is actually quite long. So all of that is happening while traveling is happening on microscopic level. And then the embryo is coming down, drops into the uterus, and then implants. So there needs to be enough time for all that to happen before a period is triggered. And that will stimulate and release hormones to make it so your period does not begin. So if you have a short luteal phase, you definitely want to work on that. It's something that can definitely be supported and addressed with natural lifestyle therapies and things, because this is something that's part of a normal, healthy menstrual cycle. So yes, we have that period of time we want to look at lengthening, but you need to also look and support the whole cycle, the whole 25, from your period to the stage where estrogen is higher, to the stage of ovulation, to the stage of progesterone. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. Go ahead and reach out, and I can kind of, talk more about those steps, but you would want to help support healthy regular progesterone production. You would want to make sure that your nutrients are in place, because a lot of deficiencies can be involved. So yeah, there's definitely steps you can take, but it's lifestyle changes. It's not just like, here's this magical pill. That does not exist. Does marijuana impact sperm development? I think it can. I have an article on this, but I think it's more the act of smoking something that is creating carcinogens in the body that can have effect on sperm health. So ovulation tests are not reliable. They are reliable, but all that they're telling you is whether or not you're about to ovulate. They are not telling you that you did ovulate. They're saying, okay, I see the hormones in your urine that appear right before ovulation would generally occur. Does not mean ovulation is going to occur or that it did. And those OPK tests can drive me crazy. I'm like, not the biggest fan of them, because the line has to be darker than the baseline. And you're always like, is that dark enough? It's not just because a line appears, doesn't mean anything. A line will always appear. It has to actually be darker than the what is it called? The line that's like always there, the baseline that you compare it against. Hello, what would you advise after having a miscarriage? First of all, I am so sorry for your pregnancy loss. It depends on how recently it was. If it's very recent, you would want to really nourish yourself and rest and do what you can to just help yourself right now. Nourishing foods, bone broths, those types of things, just making sure that you're really being taken care of and that you are resting and all of those things. It is going to take a little while for the body to get back to normal after having all those pregnancy hormones. It does take time for those to kind of subside. For some, it might be the next cycle. For some, it's a couple months. So just know that could be normal. Like your next period could be really light or it could be really heavy. The time when you can start doing things to, again, support your fertility, I generally, I think it's best to wait until you've had one full normal cycle. So you've had like a period that's pretty normal. It's not like, the miscarriage process. And then there's a whole cycle and then the next period starts. That's when it's like, okay, that's when you can kind of start looking at things again. But I would just naturally let the body do what it needs to do and take care of yourself. Would smoking affect FSH levels in men? So smoking would affect sperm health in men. Smoking creates a lot of free radicals in the body. Every time a man smokes, there's so many different studies showing an effect on sperm health, sperm motility, morphology due to smoking. Smoking definitely has negative effects. They can be reversed if they can quit smoking and then do things to help support all of that, because again, sperm production is consistent and constant. So it's not like forever, but they would need to stop smoking and then take the steps to help support healthy sperm production. Oh, the things we talk about. Does fertility lubricant help the sperm get to the egg better? So are you talking about like fertile mucus, like fertile cervical mucus? Or are you talking about a product that you're using externally? Okay, I have a couple minutes left. Do castor oil packs help? So I don't know what you're referring to. Will they help what? But castor oil packs are awesome. They help to increase circulation in the body. They're just really supportive. They help to soften tissues. They help to move the lymph. I love them as a self-care therapy. They can be placed over the lower abdomen to help increase circulation. They can be placed over the liver. Liver's on the right side. You can use them for all kinds of things, but I find it to be just a really nice, relaxing way to help support the body. What do I think of metformin for PCOS and fertility? So I don't work with medications. I think that they're, okay, so here's my long-winded answer, because it's always long-winded. So, okay, if someone's experiencing something such as PCOS, my approach and the way that I look at it is, yes, we want to ovulate, or yes, we want to get pregnant, but we want to make sure to have a healthy baby, and we want to have a healthy pregnancy. When it comes to PCOS, there are higher rates of miscarriage if these hormonal factors aren't addressed. So in my mind, whatever helps you to get to that place in supporting the root cause, then it's a win. If we're just making the body do one specific aspect that we need and these other concerns haven't been addressed, then there could be other things that happen down the road during pregnancy. Not saying there will be, but there could be. So right now is a really good time to be able to kind of manage those things and help the underlying root cause so that you just become healthy for pregnancy. Pregnancy is a very intense, monumental undertaking for a body. So that's kind of how I approach it. You can do that and still, use things such as metformin, use, these other things that you might be prescribed, but it's up to you ultimately what your path is and what you feel is best for you. I think there's a place for everything. I don't have really strong opinions either way. I just do think that health and lifestyle need to be included in every plan regardless. I know you just want me to be like, no, don't do that. I don't feel like that though. I really truly feel that every woman has instincts about what's right for her and what she needs. And that's what I'm all about. I have my own opinions on what I want to do for my body. And I want to show all the tools that you guys have access to. But ultimately you need to listen to your intuition. Of course, you know that. What herbs and supplements should be avoided when doing IUI? So when you're preparing for IUI, once you begin any type of testing or your protocol, like your medical stimulation type protocol, I would not suggest using herbs that have an effect on the hormonal system. So when you go to get your testing done, you don't want to be starting to kind of change and shift things, because they're going to do your protocol based on where your blood levels are during that test. So what I think is a healthy, supportive approach on the way to IUI, IVF, preparing for any of those medical procedures, is to take plenty of time ahead of time, 3 months, to do those types of things that you want to do to support your body. And then once you start that protocol, dedicate yourself to that protocol. I don't suggest trying to mix things. I wouldn't do progesterone cream during that time, or herbs that might have some type of effect on your blood results, because they're going to be controlling IUI, not so much, but they're going to be controlling your cycle. And you want that very expensive procedure to go the best it can. So that's why I'm so pro about preparation, because you can do all those things without stress in preparation. And also you're helping to support your egg health. You're helping to improve your chances. You have an investment that you're doing. So those are kind of my 2 cents on that. Now, a lot of supplements can be used. Talk with your doctor about them. Say, hey, these are the supplements I'm using. What do you think? Anything that's going to thin the blood, you would want to stop 2 weeks before. So systemic enzymes is one example of that. Yeah. All right. Okay. Oh my gosh, you guys have so many good questions. Okay. I wish I could stay on and answer all these. I'd be on for a couple hours because I talk so much. Do I recommend preseed? I think that if you're looking for lube, preseed could be beneficial. I'm not crazy about all the ingredients, but you're using it 2, 3, 4 days out of the month, Opinion about chlorophyll. I love green everything. Are there ways to unblock fallopian tubes naturally? So when it comes to fallopian tubes, what you're wanting to do with the body is to help support healthy fallopian tubes. So that's the way that we approach it. The way to healthy fallopian tubes is increasing circulation, helping the body and its natural ability to break down scar tissue and fiber in the body. You're wanting to help hydrate and bring softness, and see what your body can do when you're supporting it being able to do that. The control line. Thank you, Fatima, the control line. I could like the baseline. I couldn't remember what that was called. Baby dance. I don't know what that was in response to, but can a man quitting smoking affect miscarriage outcomes? So if you're actively trying to conceive, and stopping smoking should be major priority. What do I recommend after DNC? I would treat post DNC just like miscarriage. Again, I am so sorry for your pregnancy loss. It's going to take some time, especially with the DNC because of the scraping. It's going to take a while for most people to have a regular period because it's kind of extra compared to what happens when a miscarriage happens on its own. But just like support yourself, anti-inflammatory herbs, just being really gentle those first couple months until your cycle starts to establish itself again. Castor oil packs, are they good for cleansing the womb? I wouldn't really say that specifically, but I think they're very beneficial for supporting a healthy uterus and increasing circulation. So increased circulation is going to be always going to be helpful. What can brown, hey Shoni, what can brown spotting indicate a week before period? Never spotted before. So sometimes you have to kind of think what's happening the last 2 weeks of a cycle, right? So you've built up your uterine lining the first, from the beginning of the month to, and then you've ovulated, and then you have your uterine lining that is being maintained by your progesterone levels. If the progesterone levels start to dip or they're not like a healthy level, then the uterine lining will actually not be maintained, and it'll start to shed a little bit early. And that can be what spotting is. Spotting can also be a couple of other things, but when I see, spotting happening, I like to help to support healthy progesterone levels and see how does that work? How does that adjust? You would see it by the next cycle, depending on how you're supporting that. Also, if you're experiencing spotting before your period, are your periods really light? What are your periods like? But that just kind of tells me that there might be some type of deficiency or support needed for healthy progesterone levels. What is the best way to clean a reproductive female system? So I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, but to help have a healthy uterus, increasing circulation, doing a fertility cleanse, all of those just help the uterus to be really healthy and to have healthy, again, I keep on saying healthy circulation, and I know that sounds super basic, but it's really important. We sit all day. We tend to be like, we don't drink enough water. There can tend to be kind of this stagnant type of situation, or we just have really heavy periods, wanting to have that lining shed properly every single month. So doing things to increase the circulation, helping, using herbs and things like that are in the fertility cleanse to help the uterus to do that. But it's not that your uterus is dirty. It's not like that. It's just helping it to be as healthy as it can be. Can anxiety affect fertility and IVF? I think that long-term stress can have effect on hormones, but I don't think the anxiety that you're experiencing because of fertility issues or IVF is going to have an effect directly on your fertility. I think it's kind of the long-term, like you work a really stressful job or you're in a really stressful relationship and that constant day in, day out. But the response to like the moment of like, okay, I have to start my shots for IVF and this really makes me nervous. I don't think that's going to have a negative effect on it. How do you increase circulation and hydrate? Is that like doing castor oil packs and drinking plenty of water and herbal teas? Yes, ma'am. You could also do self-fertility massage. You can do baths. You can do womb steaming. Yes. Can being anemic affect uterine lining? And is it possible to get pregnant? Yes. So being anemic can affect uterine lining. It can affect ovulation. Yes. So a lot of women are anemic. So just getting that under control. Side note on anemia. So I was vegetarian for a very long time, and I was very aware of eating lots of foods that were high in iron. I went and got my blood tested, and I found out I was actually really anemic because I was not able to absorb non-heme sources of iron. I was not absorbing the iron from plant foods. So a couple of different tips, not saying that happens, that's like common. So not saying that's going to happen to you, but when you're eating sources of iron from plant foods, make sure you're eating plenty of vitamin C with them for absorption. Also, I found once I started eating animal products, and that's where I was getting my iron, I was able to absorb it much better. So it's something to explore if that is happening to you. Of course, that's not everybody, but those are just kind of some tips. Also, a friend of mine was posting the other day about cooking your food in cast iron pots is a great way to increase your iron as well. I thought that was such a great tip. Suggestions for prolonged spotting after period. Yes, so helping to support your entire cycle with hormonal support, drop cycle method would be absolutely great for that. You can reach out and I can share more information about that. 47, one miracle baby. There's so many questions. I'll stay on for a while longer because you guys are just so amazing. These are such great questions. I'm 47, one miracle baby, 2-year-old. Been trying for 7 months, going to start fertility kit. What else would you recommend? Congratulations on your 2-year-old. So I would first recommend finding out where you're at. So are you charting? What information do you have from that? Have you had testing done? Are you ovulating? Those types of things is what's going to help know what direction, where you need to focus. I just did a talk on the 5 pillars of fertility health, and that helps you to make sure that you are looking at all the different areas that are going to support healthy hormones, and all those different areas need to be supported. So it can't just be like, oh, I'm going to try Vitex and that's the only thing I'm doing. Something that has been consistent with the people who have, shared their stories on our website is you'll notice it's not just one thing they did. They did lifestyle change, and it took a lot of different factors, and because of that, they were able to see results. So finding out where you are is going to be step 1. If a male has super low sperm count and mobility, is there any chance to improve that? I can't guarantee anything, but I think it's worth a try. The worst case scenario is he'll be healthier. I had anxiety for 12 years and it has affected my egg quality. I am sorry to hear that. Yeah, so consistent long-term stress, but there are things that you can do to help, that you can try to help support and protect from that damage, but also, working through that. I wish I could record this. People like to go straight to the reason of stress. What teas are good and safe when you're pregnant? So pregnancy, I'm going to be doing a lot of different classes on pregnancy because so many of you are getting pregnant and then you reach out to me and you're like, I'm pregnant, now what? So I'm like, all right, I'm going to start helping to support you guys because it gets really confusing what you can do, what's safe, all of those different things. There are a lot of herbs that are safe during pregnancy. You just have to understand which herbs you want to avoid because of the actions that they have. So nutritive herbs, red raspberry leaf tea, mint, those different types of things can be very supportive. Also, there are a lot of essential oils, if you understand which ones and how they work, that can be used during pregnancy as well. That's the direction I actually like to go to help support a lot of just the discomforts and regular normal discomforts that you experience when you're pregnant. So I will be speaking more to that. Can nail polish and cleaning products affect egg quality and causes miscarriage? So okay, nail polish and cleaning products. So I'll speak mostly to cleaning products. They're going to, a lot of traditional or mainstream cleaning products have chemicals in them that mimic hormones within the body. So they're called xenohormones. A lot of them mimic estrogen. What that can do is it can stimulate estrogen in a very strong way in the body, much stronger than our normal estrogen would. And that can put things out of balance. So as it pertains to egg health, I personally would definitely be doing a ditch and switch, switching out all the products in my home so that they're naturally based, they're healthy and safe. And you have to also watch out for greenwashing. So you'll go to, even in the health food store, you'll find companies that are marketing themselves as natural products. And then when you turn them around and see the products, it's like, oh, there's sodium lauryl sulfate. Oh, there's fragrances. Those are the things you actually want to be avoiding. So knowing and kind of like becoming an ingredient reader, I have a guide. I don't have the link right now. You can send me a DM and I'll send you the link. But I have a whole guide on kind of what chemicals to look for on the label. And I personally really love the Thieves line from Young Living. If you want to know more about that, reach out to me. I can get you started with it. They have an awesome kit that's like a whole ditch and switch that'll just like get you started really well. Because I personally would just get those things out of my house. Another way you can do it is as you run out of things, replace them with natural options. But that would be high on my list of switching out for not only for your fertility, but for your pregnancy and the health of baby in utero. lots of studies done that these chemicals are affecting the reproductive systems of our children when they're in our wombs, like that early. It's just absolutely crazy. And a lot of countries don't actually allow these chemicals. So I'm speaking to a lot of people who are in the United States and Canada, because a lot of these chemicals aren't allowed in Europe. It makes me so mad. My last period lasted only a day and followed with 2 days of brown spotting. Any days and what ideas what that could be? So generally, if there's not, if your period's kind of like just really light, not much happening, I would look at wanting to help build up the uterine lining. You can do that through nutrition, also making sure that your hormones are balanced and that you have enough. If there tends to not be much of a period, low libido, night sweats, that type of thing, I definitely want to build up both estrogen and progesterone and just kind of the whole system. Drop cycle method is fabulous for that, helping to support the whole cycle. Okay, I'm going to have to get off here in a second. Hopefully I can save this, but the reason I try to keep them short is if they're too long, it won't let me save them. Womb steaming. Someone's asking about that. I did an interview on my Instagram that was awesome last week about womb steaming. So you can go to Instagram/natural fertility info and you can look for that interview. I'm taking a prenatal, but also multivitamin and some other vitamins. Will that affect anything? So that's good insurance. Like you want to be doing something to make sure that you're kind of getting your base nutrients in addition to healthy fertility diet. It's Friday. I shouldn't do these on Fridays because my brain is like, I'm going to sleep now. It's powering off. How am I doing? Thank you for asking. I am doing really good. I'm really grateful for so many things in my life. It's been a good week. My son lost his first 2 front teeth. And so I don't know, I cried. I've been on birth control for 17 years and I'm ready to get off of them. What's a good way to cleanse again? Okay, Nidia. Awesome question. You're on YouTube right now. I have lots of videos on this, on what to do, how to transition. So definitely check those out. There's lots of things that you can do. So for some people, like their cycle comes back normal the next month, like my sister-in-law. I'm like, okay, she gets off birth control, period next month, pregnant next month. I'm like, fine, okay. But that doesn't happen for most people. So it might take some time for your period to begin, or, just depends on how you are. But fertility cleansing is a great way to start with that. And also looking at your nutrients and eating a really rich whole food diet. Birth control can cause a lot of deficiencies. You can look it up, tons of studies about it. It can cause like B vitamins to not be absorbed, all kinds of things. So really taking your nutrition seriously and kind of helping to build up those nutrient stores, and just starting there would be great. I was trying to get pregnant for a year, but it hasn't happened. So if you've been trying to get pregnant for a year, it's kind of to the point when you are comfortable that you want to get some testing done, or you want to definitely start fertility charting to see where your body's at, start investigating, kind of see what's going on. If it's been happening that long, I personally wouldn't keep waiting to see if things just kind of happen, because you're kind of wasting time. It's going to take some time for changes to happen, even once you start on a new lifestyle. So you kind of want to get started, especially if you're like actively wanting to get pregnant. Do I think an ovulation microscope actually works? Will it actually? Okay, so I think they're fun. And I talked about them years ago, but I think they're extremely hard to read accuracy. So ovulation microscopes, I think they're kind of novel. It's not like a go-to. Okay, awesome. Is myonosatol good to take for PCOS? What are the benefits or any negative impacts? Myonosatol is awesome. It's something that I'm still learning more about, but what I'm finding is it's really supportive for helping with regular ovulation in women who are experiencing PCOS. It's also something that in studies have been shown to be supportive of egg health. So I don't know of any side effects from it. That's the thing with a lot of supplements is they're not isolates. They're not like extremely strong. So side effects tend to be pretty rare with supplements unless you're allergic to things. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you need more information about natural fertility, you can go to naturalfertilityinfo.com. You can go to Natural Fertility Shop. A lot of products we talked about today are located there. You can reach out through DM. You can email us at help@naturalfertilityshop.com if you have questions. You can find me on Instagram, Natural Fertility Info. You can find me on YouTube and on Facebook, Natural Fertility Info. But I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I will talk to you again soon.